Everyone, happy Monday, happy May. Big day in that regard. First day of a month, first day of a week, if you don't count Sunday as the first day of the week. Um, the show will pick up from here, I think. We better content than that today, than that intro was. This show is brought to you by Compliment, lovecompliment.com. If you're on Instagram, go over to YouTube. We've been putting in a lot of work. Doug added a new banner today, hand designed by our designer Juliana, I believe, and it's looking good. The channel's looking good. Some of the videos are starting to get some views. They seem to be circulating a little bit by the YouTube algorithm. So I'm glad about that. We're slow progress, but it's happening. It's moving. So I'm glad about that. Good morning to Mr. Jeffrey. There's Doug. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Matt. I am doing well. Happy May Day.
Is that what May 1st is? May Day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Happy Labor Day for pretty much everyone except for us.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, VegEconomist, I went over there today, as I often do, to play on the show. They're good for the weather report stuff for sure. They said we're off for May 1st, and I couldn't really figure it out. I sort of had this idea in my head that May 1st was a holiday, but I didn't know what or where or why. It's just a non-American holiday.
It's just, we celebrate Labor Day differently than pretty much everyone else. But it's a day that usually you would give everybody off, let the show appreciation to the workforce that keeps the economy running.
Okay, good. As if the economy running wouldn't be enough appreciation.
Yeah. It's true. That's a good point.
All right. A lot of good mornings here from Scott Mulholland, Dale Stevens, Sarah Slemp, Lori Stevens. We know all these names. Lucy B. This is great. Wonderful. Jeff Hudnall. Oh, these are all our friends now. I count these as friends. So this is great.
I do too.
Yeah.
Hey, friends.
Mr. Jeffrey says that watching you make faces before you're brought on is so great. I mean, I don't know. Why do we delay the time when you start talking? I guess because you're not on Instagram. So
because on Instagram, I don't know. Just
we don't want to
for
deprive
whatever
anyone.
reason we do that. Right. But listening to you try to stumble through the first minute and a half of the show is always a pleasure to me.
Yeah, right. It is. Well, anyway, it's a good day. I got a great sleep last night. I stole a pillow from the hotel where I was in where was it? Myrtle Beach, because every now and then I'll get to a hotel and the pillows are so good, can't replicate it with Target or any other type of pillow, so I just have to take it home with me. And I did that. I feel a little bit bad about it.
You've done that before. It's not a first offense.
Yes, I did it from a Virginia Beach hotel as well once during a soccer tournament. Yeah, I figured, it's not my preferred way of acquiring anything is stealing, but if it gets me a month of really good sleep before I get sick of that pillow, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I can give that back to the world via other things. So yeah,
a lot of people bring their own pillows to hotels.
I do that too. Opposite. I do that too. I'm just
okay.
I never make a pillow last very long. I find what I think I like, and then a month later I'm just sick of it. And so anyway, I slept great. I did not move until my cat woke me up at 5:30.
Wow.
So it was good. Yeah, it didn't happen much. 90 points on the Oura Ring. So it was a good night for me.
Excellent. Great job.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll get into some of my weekend stuff. But Doug, how are you doing today? And how does it feel to be allowed to drink alcohol again?
I am doing great. Had a very nice weekend. And feel pretty rested today as well. So that's a good thing. Fired up, ready to go for the week. But I can drink again.
Except you have new policies that you can't until
I know.
Thursday.
I know. I keep debating on whether I want to have a drink today to celebrate it being done and then start the new policy or what. But I don't know. I'll report back tomorrow. But I think I'm just gonna not drink today.
Just go. Okay, good.
I've been thinking a lot about the challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely wanted to do this as a way to not to drink less, to kind of stop drinking every day and explore what that would be like. But I think, it hasn't, some of the content around the challenge that our hosts put together and encourages, around freeing up all this time and productivity and, kind of life-changing experiences. And I don't think I drank enough quantity for it to I'm not hungover every day, and it's not like I'm losing all this time to not being productive because I'm just drunk or something like that. That's not really what's happening. for me, at least not most of the time. But so I've been trying to think of like what have like I have really gotten out of this challenge, and two things. One is it broke the habit of the daily drinking, and I feel more empowered to like not do that,
Mhm.
which is so that's a big one. But also, I think like it's kind of fired me up for um like wanting to cut back on social media, like look at some of these other kind of habitual some these like daily habits um that are kind of mindless, that I just pull my phone out or do something just
Yeah.
because that's what I do. And so now I'm thinking about doing another challenge of some sort, probably around social media or phone
Mhm.
usage, to see if I can do something else to kind of just improve myself a little bit.
Good. Good for you. Yeah, even though I was only kind of a partial participant in this thing, by doing it on weekdays, I got some of that same experience. This is what got me to do the Prolon fast, and
Hmm.
I've just sort of maybe just from the little bit of thought I've given it and hearing you do it, uh, just have had that same sort of attitude towards things. Just wondering about all these routines that are just built in, and this is how we do stuff, and you know, good to question those things. Have you had any sort of mood boost, like aside from that, or do you think that is at all caused by just a kind of general, I don't know, just more energy, more mood, or
I
better
think
mood?
my mornings are easier
Uh
without
huh.
alcohol. Yeah. I think I
Even
really do think.
following a weeknight where you would typically maybe only have one drink, you
Yeah,
feel like your
I do.
mornings are
I
better.
think that one drink has been playing a bigger impact in my sleep than I
Mm-hmm.
understood.
Yep.
And so like part of me tomorrow, knowing that I'm waking up at 5 to go for a run with some guys, like I've been feeling really great on my morning runs over the last couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's in part because I didn't have a beer the night before, and so now
Yeah.
I'm like, I could have one tonight, or I could skip it and feel better tomorrow. And I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm leaning towards that. So I don't know. In that way, I've definitely learned a lot about alcohol and how it's
Yeah.
impacting me, in minor ways,
Sure.
but
Right.
real ways.
Yep. Good. Well, good for you. Congratulations to you and anyone else who did that 21-day full challenge without alcohol. That is impressive, no doubt about it. And hope
I
it all
did.
works out.
I did think so. This group played a role in my not drinking this weekend. I had Saturday. A friend of mine was in town from college who was just kind of passing through and only had like an hour and a half as they were coming through town, and called to see if we could meet up, and wanted to grab a beer somewhere, and I thought, oh, that's great. Let's definitely do that. And I was like, oh no, I can't. I'm not drinking right now. But then I was like, I've gotten everything out of this. I've made it this
Right.
long. Like I've
Right.
gotten everything out of it. Like why not just stop a day early, right? Or
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
days
I mean,
early.
that's true.
And I was like, do I really need to like finish the challenge? But then I said, no, I'm gonna be talking about it on Monday to a bunch of people, and I wanna if I committed to it, I'm gonna do it. So
Yeah. 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 That's hard. I mean, when I did a month off before, I don't actually know if I ever said this or not. I think I did, but I'm not positive. I did a month
mhm.
long no drinking challenge. Must have been 2016 or something. And then I
Okay.
went on the vegan cruise the last like weekend of that,
Uh-huh.
and uh ended up having that exact same logic in my head, and I was like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
does it
yeah.
matter? And so I did end up having a drink, not much,
Uh-huh.
but two drinks or something on, and technically like it would have ended in the middle of the cruise, but I had a drink on the second day or whatever. uh
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever, don't care. But yeah, that's hard, but good for you. It's good. It's good to keep those promises to yourself, let's finish
Well.
things out. Cool. Okay. Well,
Mr. Jeffrey asked how my knees are. 'Cause I posted a little photo on Instagram. I took a tumble yesterday on a run. They're good. They're
oh
fine. They're a little
no,
scraped
okay,
up, but
that's not good.
no big deal. No, it
Okay.
was it was rainy day around here and just slipped in a bunch of mud and kind of went down, but no big deal.
Everyone, you're no different from anyone else. People love to post the pictures of the injuries on
I know.
Instagram. They
Well,
feel
it's
good
funny.
about themselves.
I just posted a picture about looking up and like enjoying the view, and I kind of like enjoying the run, and then 10 minutes later I fall, and because I was looking up
Ah,
too much. Then I said, you gotta make sure you're watching where you go.
okay, good. All right. I went to Myrtle Beach, as I said. It was actually nice. I was not expecting much of Myrtle Beach. I was there for soccer, so we didn't have time to do a whole lot of stuff other than soccer games. Uh, but got a tiny bit of like not beach time, but looking out at the beach time while I had morning coffee. So it was enjoyable. And Myrtle Beach I thought was nice. It was no worse than Ocean City, Maryland, which has its bad parts, but I expected worse. So I'm gonna go back to
Was
Myrtle
that your
Beach
first
one
time
day.
to Myrtle Beach?
I've driven through it before, but I've never gone there to stay overnight for anything.
Okay.
But it was okay. Have you been there?
Yeah, it's been a while since a kid, but yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a normal beach place. I don't know why it had this reputation of being dirty and full of strip clubs and like just not good. But maybe I just didn't get to that part. I thought it was totally nice.
That's good.
And I went to Olive Garden on Friday night as promised. It was all the fun that I thought it would be. Limitless breadsticks were consumed. Salad, easy to make vegan.
By the spoonfuls, just like dumping it in for you.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, I got the big claw, whatever that thing is that they serve it in that big clear bowl and that little grabby thing. It was good. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to a restaurant like that in quite a while. Just because usually you can't get vegan options, but I discovered that you can do a pretty good job of it at Olive Garden. I was wrong about. I had said the pasta fagioli soup was vegan. That one turns out not to be. It has ground beef in it, but the minestrone soup is vegan. So that's what we had. So
you had soup, salad, and breadsticks.
Soup, salad, breadsticks, and a pasta with red sauce. You can make your own pasta.
Okay.
You pick your noodle and pick your sauce. So yeah, quite easy. Nothing was weird to the wait staff or anything. It was just normal. They just got us in, got us out.
Sounds kind of fun, honestly.
It was fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. The kids loved it. I mean, I guess this is going to sound food snobby. I've gotten used to cooking my food at home, or like if we go out, it's usually to a non-chain restaurant, not because we're above the chains, but because you can't get vegan food at most of those places. So it was definitely a lower quality Italian food that I'm used to eating.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah.
But like, but when I used to go there, I didn't know that, like when I don't know, 15 years ago, I got to Olive Garden. It was dinner. It was a night out, so I guess I've gotten used to better food, and you realize how mass production situation that is. But anyway, whatever. I mean, it was fine. Liked it. It was a good time.
It wouldn't surprise me if even the pasta was like pre-cooked. They just had to heat it up and
possible. They probably do like par cook it, and then they just dunk it in the water for the last 2 minutes or something when it comes out or when it's ordered. I mentioned Bertucci's and said I was going to go there again. And then I Googled and found out they don't have Bertucci's in the South. Did you know that, Doug?
No, I never grew up going to Bertucci's. I knew what you were talking about when you brought it up the other day. I don't know if I've ever actually been to one.
Yeah, I don't know. When I grew up around Baltimore area, they were all over. Maybe they were in their heyday, kind of, but that was like a kind of a newish restaurant, and it was a big deal to go out to Bertucci's. It was just a fun night. But yeah, there's one in Virginia or something, and none south of that. So that is not something I will be going to soon. For that reason. All right, let's see. Jeff says, run the Myrtle Beach Marathon with me next year. Matt, I'd consider that, Jeff. Let me know when it is, or I'll look up when it is. But we're definitely going to go back there for some vacation. So I will consider it.
Nice.
Jeff went to Seattle this weekend, saw Shania Twain. Okay, I thought he was seeing hockey because he was at the Seattle Kraken Stadium. But I guess he was seeing Shania Twain. Interesting. I did not know Mr. Jeffrey was a Shania Twain fan. But that's fun. And he went to the Impossible Food Test Kitchen, which we've talked about before at some point, either in the weather report or as a full story. I think, Doug, you didn't like it because it wasn't at every food option was all those things. So you don't like that.
That's right. Was it good, Jeffrey? Mr. Jeffrey, you need to
well, he said a couple of vegan meals that both looked awesome. So I don't know if he I don't know if he had.
The arena had the Impossible Test Kitchen. Didn't necessarily eat at the Impossible.
Right. And he took a picture of it too that he put on Discord.
Yes.
Yeah. And Suzanne has ordered the Prolon fast, waiting for it to arrive. I think she's the one in Denmark who we thought it was $1,500, but apparently she read that wrong, or the quote was wrong. So anyway, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I think that's about it for me. I don't have too much more from the weekend. I ate okay. It was weird coming off that fast last week and then being away. So it's not like we could eat healthy foods for the most part.
From the fast straight to Olive Garden.
Straight to Olive Garden that night.
Endless breadsticks.
Yeah, and then the next day was lunch, like in between games at this kind of brewery place. But like all they really had, They couldn't make their guacamole dip without crema in it. They couldn't do a vegan one. So like the only really calorie rich lunch option was nachos without cheese. So it was just that kind of day. That and like fried Brussels sprouts that were really deep fried. So I just kind of felt gross after that good fast to be eating like that the day after.
Yeah.
But whatever, that's what happens. And we'll get to that. We got an article kind of about that topic today, this social omnivore idea. People, I guess it's the thing, are the vegan at home, the omnivore out mentality. And if you don't have an ethical problem with that, it certainly would make things a lot easier, right? Like suddenly all the objections to veganism go away because it's like, the hardest parts you can now handle, or you don't have to worry about. Anyway, we'll get into that. But I was definitely left with that feeling. Not like I'm going to be an omnivore, but like I was like, wow, like because someone next to us had gotten shrimp on a salad, and I was like, that would have been a pretty healthy meal, way healthier than the nachos that we ate for sure. Right? Even if you think animal protein in general not as healthy as plant protein, it's hard for me to argue that a shrimp on top of a salad is not healthier than nachos.
Right.
And so it was like, that's interesting that this healthy diet choice has us, at least in this situation, having the less healthy option. Of course, we could have gotten just a salad, but then we don't get get filled up. So anyway, that's why this article jumped out at me today. Okay, so let's see. Anything else, Doug, before we jump into our weather report, which is not too long today, just sort of well, actually, there are some interesting stuff. So you ready to jump into there?
Yeah, let's do it. The weather report.
Okay, here we go. Running news. We got two running stories today. First of all, vegan ultra runner Austin Meyer took first place at the Zion Ultra 100K on April 15th, which is 2 weeks ago. I don't know why this is news now, but plant-based news just got it. Finished in just over 10 hours. It's in Zion National Park in Utah. He's a documentary filmmaker and photographer, and he won, which is cool. It always good when vegans win this stuff and when it's on the news feed. Because when I looked up plant-based diet news today, it was a whole bunch of bad news about 1,000 scientists have come together to sign a petition saying avoiding animal products is not good for human health. One saying plant-based products should stop trying to compete with meat and dairy. One saying farmers outraged over school plan to take away meat in schools. All this stuff, and then one right under the thing about vegans can't be healthy. Basically, was the article "Vegan Guy Wins Ultramarathon." So I thought that's good to see that. So do you know, is this a big race, Zion Ultra, or is it just a regular race that happened, some fat ass thing and the vegan one? And
I've never heard of it.
Okay.
So I don't think it's one of the really big ones, but it's not to say it's fat ass style. So
right. Fat ass, by the way, is a race style. It's not just like describing I mean, it does describe the mindset, but it means, well, it doesn't even describe the mindset. It just means you show up and it's not a planned supported race. You bring your own stuff. You stock the aid stations yourself.
Yeah, kind of
very low cost, no t-shirt, no medal. Yeah. But anyway, this is not that. This was a real thing. So anyway, congrats to him. I read in his Instagram quote, he was what do we got? Got breaking news, Doug?
I just looked it up. Apparently it's a Western States qualifier and a UTMB associated race.
Okay. You heard it here first. Okay, so it's a real.
So that's good. Race. It's a legit race.
Okay, good. Yeah. You heard it from Doug, ultramarathon champion and town council member, Black Mountain, has said that. Yeah. Okay. What I was going to say is that I read his Instagram post afterwards. He's played soccer at Stanford, and I guess he had hopes of making it to the MLS. Didn't for whatever reason, and I don't know when he went vegan, but that's when he got into ultra running and realized this could be his thing, I guess. And this is only 7 years after he began his journey. He won this race. So, whoa, another breaking news. All right, this just in. He also said, eating a plant-based whole foods diet has allowed me to increase physical stress in training and simultaneously recover faster. This is due in part to the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties of the food, which lead to reduced muscle damage. It seems that if you are an athlete and anyone asks you why you do plant-based diet and how it can possibly help you be better, you have to say the words antioxidants and anti-inflammatory, because that is what I say every single time people ask me that question, because that's what every single athlete has ever told me. So there it is again.
There you go. All right.
Yeah. All right. The other running news, this one I didn't know about until people in our Discord were talking about it. It's that runner Josiah Zakrashevsky, maybe how you pronounce that, accepted the third place prize or only after she accepted that third place prize at the 2023 Great Britain Ultras Manchester to Liverpool race. Did she announce that she had cheated? She used a car to finish the race, in which she rode 2.5 miles. At some point, I think she was ready to quit, and then she got in this car, started feeling better, or got convinced that she should finish, and then she did, and then went through all the motions of as if she really had earned this. If you remember in the 80s, Rosie Ruiz did this in the Boston Marathon. She jumped out of the crowd. That was more an intentional cheating. I don't know if she ran any of that race. Maybe started it, then cut through the crowds or whatever, and then stumbled onto the course like a few hundred yards or a few miles before the finish and ran and won. But then it was found out that she cheated. So anyway, this person cheating, first of all, Doug, is this a big race? The 2023 GB Ultras Manchester to Liverpool. Sounds like a big deal.
It is. It's not one that I've ever heard of, but I can't. That doesn't mean anything. I don't know all the England Ultras. So this. I don't know. It's just silly, right? Like it sounds like she really did try to drop at the aid station. If we're believing her, that she went up to the people and tried to drop, and I can see them saying, you should just finish it. You should just go for it. And her being like, okay, all right, I'm going to go for it. And then finishing, but she should have never crossed the finish line. One. And of course, like as soon as they were handing her a trophy, she should have been like, oh, no, I need to explain myself. I cheated. I got in a car. So I don't know. Like it's just so silly that she wouldn't have just put a stop to it right at the very beginning.
Yeah. So people were saying that in the Discord. I saw you did too. And I don't fully think it's that crazy. I think like she was going to stop. She did stop. And you have to be not in a great state to quit a race. Usually she says her leg felt sore. So maybe it wasn't that she was mentally not there, but she was at the point that her body was failing, or at least was injured. And so I think your decision-making abilities are blunted for sure. And so she decides to keep going in this race. Probably in the moment she decided to keep going, she didn't think she'd continue to be in the hunt for any kind of prize. She probably wasn't considering this. She probably was just going to now try to finish the race in a non-competitive way, like she said. And then, then she kind of gets caught up in it. Again, your mental faculties now getting worse and worse, maybe as you go into it more. I don't know. And then you're just kind of in this weird spot, and like you won, and it doesn't seem like anyone knows what happened, and maybe you can kind of get away with this. I don't know. I can see how just one thing leads to another, and then suddenly she's in this thing, and it gets harder and harder to like say, hey, I didn't actually do this.
Yeah, you can see that, but it'd be really easy to not do that, right?
Sure.
To just not cross the finish line, or to.
But why not? What's wrong with crossing the finish line? Couldn't you just cross it and just say,
because then your time chip, will get like beamed up to the world, and then you have to officially, go in and like get it revoked and do all the process. I would have just not. I just would have like run to the finish or like close to the finish, left the corral, and then gone and like talk to a race director. Yeah. But so I've gotten lost in a race. I wrote about this a long time ago. This was a small ultra. There was like maybe 30 of us that ran. And I was, I think probably about a quarter mile from the finish line. And there was like a turnoff to go like into the park, into the campground where the finish line was. And I missed the turnoff. Ended up going about 5 miles past it. Before I, just thinking like, it has to be here. It has to be here. Like, just gonna keep going. Cause I was kind of in a hunt for like a top 5 place or something like that. And I was, just really didn't want to go backwards at all. And, stupidly should have just stopped and waited till somebody came or something. But, eventually just kind of ran out of trail into this road, and I didn't have a phone or anything. And so I just, I flagged a car down and asked them where the campground was. And they're like, oh yeah, you've overshot it by about 5 miles. So I hopped in the back of their pickup truck and they drove me to the finish line. And I kind of quit the race there. But so, like you just do it, and then you like have to fess up for it. I was probably a quarter mile from finishing the race. I ran basically the entire thing. And some, but I didn't get the finish.
Yeah.
Because I didn't finish it properly,
Yeah. Right. Mr. Jeffrey says apparently it came out when someone looked at her Strava data and saw she did a 1 minute mile. So see, this would be, I mean, hopefully she decided that she was going to tell people because she just thought it wasn't right. Didn't want to even get the prize if she didn't win. I think that would be the normal human response. Hopefully, but maybe she thought she was going to get away with this, and then someone asked her about it. She heard, and then she decided to fess up. Who knows? She was jet lagged. Apparently, she arrived 5 minutes before the race registration began. She flew in from where, Australia or something, to UK. And she's not like a known runner,
I don't
is she?
think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't fault her for this. I just can see how things could get out of hand, but hopefully it was not intended to be cheating.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like she set out to cheat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is different than someone who is setting out to cheat.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. That's that.
I guess.
Yeah. And finally, not huge news here. The Bell Group. This is from VegNews. Makers of BabyBel and Laughing Cow cheeses, and they make those Boursin cheeses under one of those brands, I think, which I used to love that Boursin cheese. They're making vegan versions of all these things. We know that. My kids tried the little wheel things where you unwrap the wax wheel, and they did not like it at all. They thought it was just way too weird. I thought it was okay, but they just thought it was strange. Anyway, now they've added the fan favorite white cheddar flavor. They say they've seen an overwhelmingly positive response to date among flexitarian and vegan shoppers, and currently they're working to make 50% of their cheese portfolio plant-based. Wow. And have tapped biotechnology company Climax Foods to help it get there. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's still got a long way to go, in my opinion, but better than they used to be. The plant-based cheeses, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so that is that. That's all that's really going on in the world. Actually, I don't know what's going on in the world because Veg Economist took off for May Day, so I really don't know. But that's all. That's all we were able to acquire today as far as information. All right, this one, Doug, you sent me over the weekend. Not good news for you. Actually, maybe good news for you because it doesn't mention tater tots. It says that new research suggests that French fries may be linked to depression. This is from CNN.com. It's a study from China. I don't know if it said how many people did it. They found a 12% higher risk of anxiety and a 7% higher risk of depression. Those numbers, I don't know. Having read this Peter Attia book, I don't know. This was like a 12-year study, 11.3-year study, 140,000 people. So because it's that long, it's an observational study. It's not a clinical trial. And that means they're asking people to tell them how often they ate those fries because they're not going to keep anyone locked up and monitored for 11.3 years. So you get that huge amount of potential error in there, right? And who knows if it would be systematic error one way or the other, or just noise, which would hopefully then cancel out over that many people. But that doesn't seem like these don't seem like major increases in risk, given how much uncertainty is in that sort of method. So I guess I don't put the same amount of stock in these sorts of studies as I used to, but the media sure does. And that's what they found. Those numbers. I mean, wouldn't be surprising.
What you're saying makes sense, but I guess I've always kind of been attracted to these types of studies because they're long periods of time, right? You can see, there's like, if you're looking at someone just for a month, maybe they're just having a bad day or whatever, and they're reporting depression or anxiety, and that one day or that 1 week will have a major influence on everything versus looking at someone for 11 and a half years. But I definitely get what you're saying, right? Because there's just so much, self-reporting there that can probably be pretty flawed or pretty skewed.
Yeah. And the message that I got from this book, Outlive by Peter Attia, is it basically like nutrition is just sort of not doomed, but like just extremely hard to get information on because of that exact issue. The clinical trials aren't long enough to get past your issue with it. Or the one you're saying, right? That someone in a very short time, it's hard to measure. And nutrition is a very long-term process.
Sure.
And then from observational, epidemiological studies like this, you have that other error of that so much of it is self-reported. And so it's just hard to see stuff. You can't do a year or 100-year clinical trial to see what diet makes people live the longest. It just doesn't work. So anyway, so nutrition is that's just one of the huge limitations. Anyway, this is not, I don't think, shocking that fried food would be linked here. They said that the fried potatoes specifically were found to have a 2% increase in risk of depression over fried white meat. But see, now we're talking about an even lower number. And among all this potential for error, a 2% difference is just nothing. So I don't think that's very significant. But maybe it is. Fried carbohydrate, fat and carbohydrate compared to fat and protein. It's possible that the fat and carbohydrate is a worse outcome. So yeah, and then the other huge thing here, which someone pointed out, I don't know if it was someone in the study or not, they said it's very possible that the causation is the opposite of what is easy to interpret here. That the food is causing the issues. It could be that the issues are causing you to eat those kinds of food. So, and that's something that's just very, very hard to tease that out specifically. So it's probably both things going on, I would imagine, self-reinforcing kind of situation, but not good for the fried food lovers, Doug. I hope corn chips are not part of this, and tater tots.
Yeah, there's no one said anything about fried potatoes. I mean, sorry, fried corn. So that's good. And the potatoes, I mean, it does say specifically fried potatoes. So I think that would probably include tater tots.
That's a good point. Probably.
But, I mean, a defender of fried food here, I'm going to take a hard stance that this is causation, not correlation. Or correlation, not causation.
Okay.
And that if you are experiencing anxiety or depression, you might be seeking more comfort foods such as potatoes, fried potatoes, and French fries and tater tots. And but I do think, and the last line, or like one of the last lines in here, I thought was the best thing, because the article highlights a lot of the potential issues from this data. But this is from Katz, K-A-T-Z is his last name. I think he's one of the researchers. Who is he? Yeah, one of the researchers who did it. If there's a takeaway, if a takeaway is needed, it's simply that overall diet quality and the selection of wholesome foods matters profoundly to every aspect of health, mental and physical alike. And I think that's the truth here, right? Like, of course, if you're eating a ton of fried foods and you're just feeling heavy all the time and feeling out of shape and feeling, just like lethargic because you just had all this fried food, then of course, I mean, you're gonna do less of the good things that help with mental health and physical health. So, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yep. Katz is a lifestyle medicine specialist. He was not involved with the study. I think they were just consulting him about stuff. But yeah, I actually wondered this exact same thing. I said, like, is this that this fried food is so bad, or is just eating unhealthy food bad? And the people who ate the most fried food probably also ate the most other unhealthy food. Maybe the study, was designed in order to, control for that sort of thing. I have to imagine that it was, but I also have to imagine that there'd be some sort of spillover in there, that it just would be hard to separate entirely. So who knows? Not really surprising, this result. But who knows? It could also be that vegetarians and vegans were the ones who ate the most French fries, because that's a vegan food. And we've seen before that the plant-based diet has been also associated with these same things, anxiety, and depression. True. So could be that.
I'm going to go ahead and come out and say that I am my happiest after a really long run, like a 3-hour long run, followed by a shower, and maybe a coffee nap, and then going out and getting some tater tots and a beer. Like that might be my happiest period when in that situation. And that would include fried potatoes. Yeah.
So if everyone had to run 3 hours first and then eat fried potatoes, I bet we would not see this result. That would be my guess.
I think you're probably right about that. So there you have it.
There you go. All right, good. So that's that one. And then the other one I mentioned earlier, this is from VegNews, and it is the headline: "Being a social omnivore is rising in popularity. Is this a good or a bad thing?" So anyway, we kind of said what it is. What's going on here? It's that people, I guess this is a new trend. I haven't seen any data that would suggest that it is, but apparently it's happening more. There's this idea that 1 in 4 people now identify as a flexitarian, but haven't studied this thing specifically. But flexitarian, kind of certainly you'd say a social omnivore is a flexitarian, even if not all flexitarians are social omnivores. Anyway, so that's that. VegNews wonders, is this a good thing? And they say yes, of course. This would be a good thing, right? If lots of people did this, it's good. They're then careful to point out that is strictly being vegan better than being flexible, and of course they're going to say yes. Their arguments for yes are not very strong at all to me. They say things like, well, if everyone went vegan, we wouldn't need to kill any animals at all. That is true. But if everyone went social omnivore, we'd have to kill very few animals relative to the current amount. They say we'd also stop all greenhouse gases from animal agriculture. That's true. But we could also stop almost all gas. Right? So these aren't great arguments for me why it's like that much better for everyone to be vegan. We'd limit deforestation.
What I did like is their discussion around the Paris exception.
Yeah, Peter Singer. This is
Peter
fascinating. I think about this a lot. Go ahead, Doug.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So Peter Singer, people know him. He's kind of, I think people think of him as like a godfather of the vegan movement. He wrote Animal Liberation, I think in the 70s, maybe. I haven't read it, but it's on my very short list of books to read right now. Because what has gotten me interested, we've talked about the bivalve vegan thing before.
Yeah.
He apparently, even when he wrote that book, and since I've seen interviews with him since then, he eats bivalves because he does not believe that's part of does not contribute to animal cruelty or animal suffering, because they don't have a nervous system that would enable them to suffer, basically. And so that's scallops, clams, oysters, and mussels, I think, are the 4 that are in there. And then he even eats like free range chicken eggs if he can confirm that they are absolutely free range. And I looked into that, and it seems to me that it's pretty hard to eat eggs without being part of cruelty, because even among like backyard gardens, like they do not want the male chickens that come. So when a male chicken is born, right, it's of little use. So then it ends up not having a good life if it has a life at all. So I don't know about the eggs thing, but I do buy the bivalve thing. So it's just not something I've done, but I'm just curious. It's just interesting to me that you could now and then eat that, especially like in a social setting, be a social bivalve vegan. Know that you're not contributing to animal suffering as long as you believe the nervous system argument. And then, but this weekend, if they had scallops as an option instead of shrimp, because shrimp are not a bivalve, that would be a cruelty-free option that would leave me with a healthier food and a more normal situation and having to be the person who gets nachos for lunch. So anyway, I didn't know about this, but he's got this, he calls it his Paris exception. It means that he will eat vegan food where possible, but if only vegetarian options are on offer, as is the case in many restaurants in Paris, he will eat those instead. That's a little weaker. You could just not go to Paris.
Yeah. Or just plan a little bit better. But but so, I don't know. I found this part really fascinating about just someone who is so highly regarded in the vegan community is kind of saying, there are some exceptions where maybe you would want to, I don't know, you'd want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, right.
Like a social omnivore.
Yes, right, exactly. So I think it's very interesting. When I've done thought experiments about this, I can't get past the cruelty part, but the bivalve part, which to me doesn't involve cruelty, because I do believe that argument. That's the part that's like so intriguing to me. So anyway, that's that.
My whole thing is just such a slippery slope, right? Like, if every time I went out with a friend or whatever, and I was like, oh well, I'm only vegan at home or something like that. I mean, which is the way I started, right? Like, at home vegan was the way I did it for a long time, and I like that was really powerful and a great transitional way for me now, or from back then. But now, like, if I kind of gave myself a little bit of wiggle room, it would mean that I would never seek out the vegan restaurant or the restaurant with the more vegan stuff, or I don't know. It'd just be too much. I need a little bit more rigidity to be, I think, to hold myself accountable, or I don't know if that's true, but like, to kind of give me some focus when it comes to it.
Yeah, I think that is what's so fascinating about the bivalve thing to me, is that like you can still have this standard that says I'm not going to contribute to animal suffering, right? So then you still have a very hard line. It's just that these things that in the fully vegan paradigm aren't part of it, this little category is now included in cruelty free. And so you could say if they don't have that, I'm not going to eat there, or I'm not going to, if there's not vegan foods or that, I'm just not going to eat it. So I don't know if there is a slippery slope then. But I don't know.
I wonder what the farming of scallops and stuff consists of. I mean, are you disrupting habitats in any significant way?
Right. I do not know about that at all. Daniel P says I'd still be thinking about the mercury content in it, and that is certainly a concern. I don't know how high it is in that type of seafood. But yeah, I mean, you've got to deal with that. On the other hand, you get some omega-3s and you get some protein. I don't think those things are that high in omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, EPA specifically. But you will get more protein if that's something that's on your radar. Hey, quick advertisement. I just don't want to forget to say this. We're going to do a No Meat Athlete Radio episode this afternoon. Protein reminded me about that. Because it's kind of related to the topic. We're going to talk about the Outlive book, the Peter Attia book, right here, this one. He's got this, he talks about exercise as being the most potent, intervention we have basically against the diseases of aging and and shortening of health span. And so we wanted to break down his exercise prescription, which is pretty intense. So that's what's interesting to me. It's how much do we really need to do? Anyway, total aside, not related to this topic. But what time is that? Is that 1, Doug, or 2 p.m.?
2 o'clock Eastern. 2 p.m. Eastern, I think.
Yeah, right here, the same YouTube channel. It'll go on No Meat Athlete Radio podcast feed. I don't know if it'll go on Plant-Based Morning Show feed or not. But anyway, you can check that out if you're interested. Please come back and support and comment and all that. It's always good for us, obviously, if you do. All right, back to this topic while we wrap up here.
Oh, this is kind of interesting comment here from Mr. Jeffrey. My understanding is that farming with them is actually better for the environment because they hang nets that in shallow water, which is otherwise not used, and they filter the water. That's kind of interesting.
Very interesting. So there you go. So we have an obligation to eat these bivalves.
Or we could just hang nets and create ecosystems where these bivalves thrive.
Yeah. Amory says, Doug, are you reading the book too? No, I don't think he is, but that's what I do. I broke him down, sent Doug some notes today, so he doesn't need to.
That's right.
All right. So yeah, I mean, now they finally come out, I think, by saying that the food system, and this, when I've done these thought experiments in my head as well, I end up here. I'm like, if this cultivated meat thing just happens, then we eliminate all of this. If the cost comes down, if we believe it's healthy, at least as healthy as animal products and not unknown risk way worse, which I still am concerned about. But that of course being the lab grown meat, cultivated meat, then you don't have to be a social omnivore. You can still eat, like everyone else, at people's houses, or perhaps now it's maybe not that easy to go to someone's house and say, can you make sure you have a cultivated option too, please? But potentially it's progress. So they say that's the solution. We need the food industry. I don't think it is a solution. I think the solution is, yes, people should be social omnivores, because now I'm not saying vegans should switch to that. People who are not willing to be vegan, switch to that. That's the solution. We don't need cultivated meat to come about. Just do that. I think so many people would be happy if they did that, and after a month of doing it, they would be thrilled at how great their life and health was now. While still letting them enjoy so much about the way they used to eat, meaning eat what you want when you're out of the house. I don't know. I just think it's a fantastic diet. I love these flexitarian ideas.
I'm 100% with you. I mean, I don't want any vegans to switch the other way, but I would love it if more people would just do it. And I think that's the way we make change to the food system. That's the way we use food to help the environment. And that's the way we get people healthier. And I think it's just like you said, people will just feel so good about how they feel, how they, how they're eating at home and all that stuff. To me, it's a win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win.
5-win. Yep. All right, good. Well, I think that wraps it up. My computer is ready to die, Doug. My charger is still in my bag from this weekend, and I forgot to put it in. So as good a reason as any to wrap up. Yeah, again, please, we're putting effort into this YouTube channel, so come back at 2 to see us do No Meat Athlete Radio. A little slightly different shift of topic and vibe, but it'll be fun. Don't forget our podcast is on iTunes and Spotify. This podcast and No Meat Athlete Radio, they're both there. But anyway, the YouTube, again, as always, we've been asking, please like that channel, subscribe to the alerts by clicking on that bell, the notifications when we go live, you'll hear about it. What else can they do there? I forget what else they can do in YouTube.
They can
Just
comment.
subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Share.
Share it. Join the Discord, nomadeathlete.com/Discord.
Yeah, please do that.
Subscribe on YouTube. Not YouTube. Apple, iTunes. Leave us
Everywhere.
a rating. Do all the stuff. Do all of
But
it.
the YouTube thing, I'm calling that it is a rocket ship, and it's going to be pretty big soon. And you're going to be happy that you got in the Discord.
You got in early.
You were an OG member. Yeah. So please just join the fun. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thanks for coming,
you guys at
everyone.
2.
Thanks for sharing your Monday morning with us. We'll be back tomorrow if you don't see us at 2, but hopefully we'll see you then.
All right. Later.
Okay. Goodbye. Still here. Having trouble hitting.